Hey everyone, happy Thursday, February 3rd, the day after Groundhog Day. Of course, the groundhog saw his shadow. Being in Boston, the groundhog could see his shadow on April Fool's Day, and there would still be 6 more weeks of winter, which is why I try to spend as much time not in Boston in the wintertime, but I have my little room here in the city and pretty cozy. You'll hear my radiator clunking. Anyway, I wanted to talk briefly about this idea of human beings as feelings machines, and then to talk about Bitcoin. And I'm always writing on as a hashtag on Twitter that Bitcoin is love. And I want to expand on that a little bit because I want to talk about the feeling of love versus what love really is, in my opinion. So M. Scott Peck wrote a book called The Road Less Traveled way back. I think he probably wrote it in the 1980s, and probably maybe even before that, might have been the 70s. In any event, in it he posits that love isn't a feeling, romantic love. It's the actions that you take on behalf of others and yourself for your own spiritual growth. Spiritual not meaning religious, but being sort of a big umbrella. You know, growth as for the betterment of you, for the betterment of society, etc. And I really took that to heart when I remember reading it. I was living in Texas at the time. I took that to heart because it felt very empowering. It wasn't that love was this feeling that happened to you, because you know that feeling, the romantic love feeling, the oxytocin and the dopamine, and you're like, holy shit, this feels amazing. It's like you're drunk. But that's not love, that's a feeling. You know, our neurotransmitters and hormones are good at tricking us into thinking that something is what it might not be, because that's one of the ways that we procreate. We're like, oh, I'm in love, and then we have babies, and then maybe we wake up and we're like, oh, this is different. Anyway, Bitcoin is not a feeling. Wealth is not a feeling. Riches. These are all actions. And Bitcoin is an inviolable, uncensorable, permissionless, trustless, ever-expanding network that allows for human beings as a species to make a hard fork away from exploitation and towards something much more beautiful. But that's not a feeling. That's simply data. Like, you look at what Satoshi created and what has been created since then, and how Bitcoin operates as this inviolable network, and what it portends for the future, a future in which fiat government-controlled currencies become founder on the rocks of a shore that Bitcoin has left in its wake, Poetica. If you get caught up in the price action and other cryptos and altcoins and whatnot, and it becomes this feeling, and you know, the price of Bitcoin goes up and you get a rush of adrenaline and dopamine and you're like, whoa, or if it goes down and the cortisol, the stress is coursing through your body, and these are all feelings. Worry not. The feeling states will come and go. You know that. I mean, if you're old like I am, you know that feelings come and go, right? When you're young, you get a feeling and you're like, this is the only time I will ever experience this feeling. And then it goes away, and then you feel it again, maybe a few years later. I mean, that's why people break up and get together with somebody new, and break up and get together with somebody new, because oftentimes they fall out of the love feeling. Now, if you're really exercising this idea of love as work done on behalf of your own and someone else's growth as a human, even if the romantic feeling goes away, you can stay in the game, you know. Stay in the game with Bitcoin. Don't worry about the price action. Don't get caught up in what's happening now. This is a super duper long game. I mean, we're talking generations. You know, I stack sats not for me, not even for my children, but for my children's children and their children's children. I have no idea what that world's going to look like, but I believe that it's going to be a world in which the actions of love, facilitated by the Bitcoin network, on which 8 billion people plus will all be nodes, all verifying all of the truths that are circulating in the universe. Bitcoin is going to be the embodiment of M. Scott Peck's definition of love. Human beings are feelings machines. Feelings are transitory. Truth and love are forever. How's that? Hear the people in the hallway? I live in a crowded place. It's so much fun. Okay, peace.